What was your grade in keyboarding class?
Anyway, we did it. We've got a little different setup tonight, and I think we're ready. Are you ready?
Always.
Okay, well, let's get going. Kick us off. Say the line.
Welcome back to the family table. I'm Elizabeth.
And I'm Noah.
Why don't you grab a drink? Come sit a spell, and we hope you're well.
We did it. All right. New camera, new equipment, new everything. I've got a whole new setup. I've got a giant monitor behind us so we can monitor what's going on. Oh, it's going to be fantastic. You know, I say that, yet I still don't know how I'm going to see the questions.
I don't think you need to be in the live. You can click out of it.
Okay. How am I going to know if there's comments? Oh, there we go. Nope, we're good. We're good. God, I have never felt older in my life.
What do you teach
Shut
again?
up. Listen, I was just going to make that joke. Listen, I'm like the computer science teacher for the district. And there's nothing scientific about this. Okay, maybe there is, but this is more art than scientific. So, it's good. We're here. We got a new topic, a good new topic tonight. First, big farm update for you.
We finally have baby goats.
It's finally happened.
And yay! About the time I thought it would never happen, I was really second guessing myself. I could not figure it out because I thought this time I had tracked it so well, all the things, and I was off.
I don't know about that. Well, I mean, we put the buck out there.
And we used the breeding harness to mark when they got bred.
Yeah.
But I think part of it is when they first get together, they're just super excited to be, he's super excited to be with the girls.
Why?
That's a whole different conversation. And so I think that was part of, the markings on them was just him, being rowdy. But maybe actually the breeding happened. Because a goat will cycle, every 18 to 22 days. So there's that. And they were together for 6 weeks. We, on our farm, have had 2 moms have babies. And we have 3 others ready to have babies today. So far we have 3 girls and 2 boys.
That's right.
We have one mom had triplets. One was a stillborn. And then the other mom had triplets, and they're all doing really well.
That's great. The one that was huge that we thought going to have 3 or 4 had 3. And they all came out healthy and doing well. And we've got several more to have babies. And it's kind of a fun game. Go home and check and see if there's more babies. So our patience is finally paying off. The weather's cooperating. It's going to be nice weather almost henceforth. And so we think we've got the ones out in the... We had that crisis where I had to come home and I had to get a heated goat pen built right away. And we've passed that storm, and they've been living a life of luxury in that goat pen. Well, now we're going to kick them out to the maternity goat ward so I can have my garage back and move on with our lives. But babies happening is good. I know. Our first non-commercial break of the night is forcing these guys back. I hope you're all doing really well. Just to touch on the technology, I don't know if you've noticed, we put out a few new videos this week, and it might look a little bit different. We invested some money in a new GoPro and some camera stuff, and it makes life easier with the videos, but I still haven't got it all quite figured out. I thought this tonight would be a little bit easier. We are in a nicer, wider shot, and I think the audio is just as good, if not better. If you have any thoughts on that, please put a comment in there. I'm looking right at the comments. You can talk to us almost live. Please talk to us just a little bit. Let me know if the audio is okay, if the video is okay, and I'll stop obsessing about it. But that was a big investment for us for the farm. I wanted a camera that I could give the kids. Go nuts. Go make a video about something and go tell a story and come back. And I was tired of giving them my phone to do so because, phone, what $1,500 or so,
Yeah.
something like that, if they break. And I wanted something that was more rugged, that was quasi-waterproof, that had good sound, and that we could do vlog-style videos and stuff. And so we settled with we invested some money, GoPro 13 Black, and it's been a lot of fun so far. We published 2 videos with it, and tonight will be our 3rd, hopefully going through it. I kind of thought I might connect to the computer a little bit easier, but we'll get there. I'll get it figured out. It's a lot of fun. I like playing with that, and it's good. It's good. Any other farm updates?
Yep, the goats are all doing well. It's easier with the nicer weather. But yeah, the babies being born was really exciting, and that's always a lot of fun. Most of these babies will be sold for our farm. There's a few that will stay for 4-H purposes, but majority will be sold. The peacocks are growing and both doing well. I'm trying to think.
Oh wait, are they both growing and doing well?
Yeah.
Because crisis of crisis, Janine, I hope you're sitting down. I was sitting here with the computer trying to get this figured out, and I heard Elliot yell, "We're missing a peacock! A peacock's gone!"
It was just like we have obviously the cat. She's not up here right now.
Whoa!
I know. Who knows where she is? I'm always afraid they'll reach into the cage and like grab them.
What was that?
So
Tweety Bird and Sylvester.
I don't know. You guys know your name?
Yeah. Sylvester, the cat.
Okay.
Really?
I know. Is it?
I thought a pretty cat.
Is it black and white?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I didn't
know its name.
Sylvester. No, you like to eat Tweety? I'm sorry. Continue on.
So I line the cage with poster board to kind of or like whatever I have, so they can't reach in there. And it had just gotten between the poster board and the cage, so it was right there. But
it was a moment of crisis, though.
Right.
I'll say that. I forgot to send this over to this group real quick. Please hold. The call is very important to me. Okay. Let's go ahead and talk about next week just for a second.
If we seem tired tonight, I think we're just tired. Being public educators, well, 1.5, I'm only a half public educator. Spring break starts on Friday, and so it's survival right now of just making it to then. So
They don't want to be there.
a lot of them have already
We're mentally fried.
a lot of them have already started vacation, physically started vacation early.
Yeah.
They're in class. Last week I had full classes every day. We had our test last weekend, and this week it's been like a ghost town. And I'm just like, well, I get it. So, yeah. What are you drinking tonight? What's your Waterloo?
I was given peach.
Oh.
It's not my favorite,
I
but
said
it's
strawberry.
good.
You want to trade?
Nah. Strawberry's probably less than peach on
Okay.
me. No, I'm good.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. We're still
What's
looking for
your
that
favorite?
rosé. We're still looking for the
Yeah,
rosé.
come on.
I went to Aldi's today and I
Waterloo,
was
what's going on
scouring.
with you?
And then
You won't return my calls. You're not making my favorite flavor.
right.
Don't make us become polar people. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk about next week on the farm. Big week.
Big week.
Huge week.
First thing is we have some guests coming on Saturday, and we can hardly. Our house has been buzzing with excitement over this. My cousins are coming from New York City, and they are spending Saturday with us. And I'm just so excited. I can hardly wait to see them. So my cousin Megan, her grandmother, and my grandfather were brother and sister. And our grandparents were both raised in this house.
It's very house. Your
This
grandpa was
very
born
house.
here.
I don't know if my aunt was born here.
I'd only heard of him and Bob. Was the only what I
Yeah,
heard.
I'm not for sure if Aunt Nancy was born here. But, I mean, I just got kind of emotional about it, thinking how they had holidays in here. They had
They cooked their meals here.
They cooked their meals in here, and this very room was one of their rooms. There's this really, I say famous. It's not actually famous, but in our family, it's one of the oldest pictures we have of the family,
sure.
And it's my great grandparents and their 5 children. It's in the living room, and Noah and I have recreated it with our children. So I'm just really super excited. when I say they live in New York City, like they live like
Midtown, block and a half away from Central Park. They walked us from their apartment, went and saw them their place they live, and we're walking down, and Charlie's like, yeah, Michael J. Fox lives here, and they filmed the Godfather Streets fight over here, and oh look, there's Matt Damon. No, Matt Damon.
I don't know.
Then we walked to Central Park, and it was 7 minutes away or less.
Right. It was so.
And then we were like, oh yeah, this is the Met Gala, whatever.
Oh, the museum. Yeah. So they're coming, and I'm just so excited.
And I can't wait till I'll go down and say, yeah, right over here, that's the C6 Bar and Grill. You're going to
love. That's Carbon Park, funded by Pike Lumber.
That's right.
So we're just really excited. We have
over here is a genuine Indiana meth house.
That's not true.
It is not a joke. Drugs are a serious matter.
But I talked to Megan. I was like, what do they want to do? So we have a list of farm fun to do. Everything from
fun food
and just fun.
You're not going to give anything away, are you?
No, I'm not.
No.
Not. Sorry, I have to check back. I'll be able to do some videos, so just check back.
Yeah.
So that's really exciting. And then Sunday, we're having some time with friends. Monday might be one of my favorite days. The pigs are going to the freezer.
Ain't no lie.
It's about time. Their smells drive me crazy. Their noise is driving me crazy.
Not the smell outside. It's whenever the kids go and like feed them whatever and it brings their boots and stuff in. My
biggest hesitation to getting pigs was that very thing. And it was like, oh, it won't be that bad because they're with us just a short time. Drive me nuts. Can't do it.
I might have classic over-promise, under-deliver with me.
It's okay. And then the rest of the week.
Oh, don't fly by that. That's huge.
Well, it is huge. Yeah. I want to get to
Can we talk about it in a second? Yeah. Listen, we've got 4 pigs. Here's my kind of plan.
Rudolph, Cheddar, Bob. Who's the 4th one?
I kind of forgot about those names, but Arthur.
Cheese. Yeah, it was Cheddar and there was one named Cheese.
Here's kind of the plan for how we're going to do this. We're going to take them out individually. We're going to make a bit of a chute from their current pen. I've got some hog panels that can go up rather quickly. Pound a few stakes in or post in, make a chute, get them to come out here where I want them to be. I'll put a bucket there, some feed, and we'll end their life sanctimoniously right there. And then...
Noah, why do we pull them away from each other?
Good question, Sherman. Mr. Peabody.
Oh, okay.
When you do that, I was told by a former student of mine who's now in the meat processing industry. He said, if you're going to do multiple pigs, it's better to take one away before you don't startle them all, because if you kill one right there in front of their friends, they get freaked out.
Like fight or flight.
Adrenaline starts flowing, and the meat's not nearly as tender then. Which makes a lot of sense.
Makes a lot of sense. So that'll start Monday. And the process will take a couple days because they have to.
Yeah, day one's goal is to get them all slaughtered and halved. And then I've got a freezer outside that I'm going to plug in beforehand. They'll get cold, and I'll put each half in there individually, and they'll cool down. And it's best if they cool down to below 45 degrees. And the next day...
The weather that next week is perfect.
Oh, it's beautiful.
For that.
It's going to be 55 on Monday. It's going to be awesome. And then we will pull one out, and we'll do whatever processing we want to. We're going to make videos of all this, so you can watch as much and as little as you like. True. But we're mostly making ground products. Ground pork, ground breakfasty, normal pepper sausage, and then a bit of hot sausage, because I like hot sausage. And we're keeping pork chops and some shoulder roasts. But that's about it. We're not going to get fancy. Oh, bacon. And
this is our first time, so we're kind of just keeping it basic
as simple as I can.
Yeah,
but that's huge. I have thought about this for years, about the actual doing this process. Right. And I look forward to sharing that journey with you. Anything else on the phone?
We just look forward to some time outside at home.
Oh my gosh.
It's super great. I think the winter and just the not having the chance to, we've been outside still because we have to be outside, but things just sort of get neglected because you're just outside getting the business done and getting back in. So just sort of getting all that stuff sort of straightened up. We do have a couple field trips coming here in May, so just sort of making some plans for that, for them to come here. And so there's that.
Even things I don't terribly think too much about, like wire from the hay bales or string from the hay bales,
Right. It's
or
sort of just like,
bags from the feed get
even if
floating
you're being
around.
very cognizant and very like conscientious about picking it up, it's still things get dropped, things get whatever. But
And in our family life, Fiddler's over. We had a
was
really good week of
such
Fiddler.
3 for sure, like no seats left, sold out shows. The first show I think had a couple seats, but not many. It was fantastic. It was so good. I can't even give you a number, but there were so many people that came in support of the, not just the theater, but specifically like your dad and you and the kids, and that just means so
It means
much.
a whole lot.
It's not just the money to go to the show, but it's the time you spend to do it and making plans maybe for if you have children to come with you. Like, it just means so much to do that. And because the dust, was that phrase, the dust doesn't settle on your whatever.
Sun doesn't shine on a duck something.
So that's it. The kids have already auditioned for the next play.
Yeah.
But this one, this play is my favorite group to do a play with. It is our homeschool group. And I just really enjoy it because we know most of the families, know most of the parents. The rehearsals are during the day, which I love because I really like having music at home. And it's Music Man Junior. The kids did their first audition day yesterday, and then tomorrow is the second day of auditions, and so they've been working on preparing their second whatever for it. And it's just, I'm really excited for them to do it. I'm just really excited.
Yeah, it was a great time with Fiddler. It was nice to have like a shared experience with my dad, and then my shared experience with my kids. It was fun. I tried to make a few people smile and laugh, and that's all I can do to bring a little sunshine into the world. I'm never going to get cast as a serious role, though. It's always going to be like...
You and Arthur.
It'd be like, oh, here's... You know, I would try to make Schindler's List a comedy. Like,
Oh my gosh.
you know, I just can't handle being stuck in like, oh, this is serious mode. So that was fun, and I don't know if there's another one on my horizon, but the kids...
Not till your kids talk you into it. Right?
Yeah,
Because they love their dad.
I do.
Do you want to see my thrift find
Please.
of the week?
Thrift find of the century of the week.
It's one I've had for a while, and I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I couldn't leave it. I couldn't leave it on the shelf.
You go, girl. Come on, Vanna. Oh.
I know, look at this. This is a vintage formal dress that I found. It was nowhere near fitting me. It's super tiny. But look how beautiful it is.
Looks like
it's
a-
so
like a
beautiful.
First communion dress or something.
But it ended up being, I think, like $3.50. And I just couldn't leave it there on the shelf. So it just hangs in my closet.
Well,
I have no
for
purpose.
you or for Amelia
Probably
or
for Amelia. I
a
have
player
no
to be
purpose
named
for
later.
it. So, yeah.
Pretty.
It's very pretty. So there's that.
Yeah. And what are you crocheting?
Oh, what am I crocheting? Yes. I've been on a farm animal kick, mostly because I've been giving them as gifts to people. I've made, what have I made? A goat,
Pig.
a pig,
Donkey.
a donkey, a chicken,
Burrow, if you will.
and now I'm working on a goose. And I'm going to call it, I forget the name now. I had a really funny name for it. Oh, I remember. It came back to me. Sorry. Spring break, right? I'm going to call it my Goose on the Loose. And I'm going to make the kids write, like, funny things about it.
So it'll be your elf on the shelf and you'll be putting things
Sort
in
of.
it.
Think like Amelia Bedelia style. Like, where it's a lot of play on words or a lot of, like...
Mm-hmm.
So, my Goose on the Loose. So, yeah. Oh, Megan! We still have 3 goats that are pregnant, so fingers crossed. Yeah. Oh, yes. What's an idea? Allison said I should make a pigeon next. It's on my list. Yes. This is one that shocked a lot of people. I actually used half of a pattern for this one. Normally I don't use patterns. Normally I just kind of figure it out and my brain just sees it. But I used...
What do you need a pattern for?
Well, I just wasn't for sure. I wanted it to be one piece. I wasn't for sure. So I used a pattern, but I obviously didn't like it, so I just made it my own.
Obviously.
But now it's ready to be.
You ever pay for patterns?
Never.
No. 1,000 apologies, my dear.
Yes.
To insult you with that sultry speak.
I'll tear you. I think that's all I have.
Yeah, things have slowed down. Soccer was wonderful. It's over. It was a good time. And now we got spring break, and like I said, we're just doing a staycation. Last year we went to New York City and got to see lots of family and friends in the city, and then we went to Ithaca.
No, I even ran into a student on Times Square.
In Times Square. I ran into a student that I had, and her mom, her grandmother was like my Sunday school, Bible school teacher.
Yeah.
And, what was funny is that with this student, I only ever saw her like this because I had her during the COVID years. And I have her brother now as well. And we're literally walking through Times Square, and we kind of pass each other. And we go past each other, wait a minute. And we come back, and we saw each other, we talked to each other. And then later that night, we didn't tell the kids. We surprised them by taking them to Wicked. And they were in line for Wicked. And we saw Wicked at the same time, the same place. Darn, small, crazy world.
Yeah. Oh, you're welcome, Missy. Missy said, thank you for the tickets. Missy won our giveaway this last month. We're going to have another giveaway for tickets to see Frozen at Northview. Mm-hmm. So as soon as I physically...
April 4th and 5th.
Yeah, and it'll be a choose your day. So you get to choose the day that you go see it. So, yes.
I can't wait to show you a small town, Megan. Just you wait.
Just you wait.
All right, let's talk a little bit about our topic for the night.
we're running out of time. We're just
Why are we running out of time?
Well,
I don't know if you know this. Facebook is 24 hours.
I have a bedtime.
Well, I got 11 hours of sleep last night, I think.
One of us did.
It was amazing. Laid down, I fell asleep, I woke up, and it was only like 11 o'clock, and I felt like, oh my gosh.
I think I was still awake. And I was
you were, and the TV was on, and I was like, oh my gosh, I had a full night's sleep. And I did that like 3 times. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
Tonight's question was brought to you by a good friend of ours, sponsored by, what's her farm name?
H&R Mini Farm.
H&R Mini Farm. This is Haley.
And Robert.
And Robert.
And Rob, excuse me, Rob.
And it's Gawler, but is that how you know her?
I'm really bad about calling.
She's always telling me.
Calling my former students by their maiden
names.
And I was like, oh, I talked to Haley Dignan today. And he's like, who? And I was like, Haley Dignan, you know Haley.
She's like one of your favorite people?
And he's like, do you mean Gawler? I'm like, oh yeah, that married name.
Yeah. Patriarchy.
She sent Noah the question.
What's the nicest message?
About, did we always see our life going this direction? Always sort of moving to the family farm.
Always going into agriculture.
Farm.
Like, what was your life going to be until it ended up getting here? And kind of how did it happen?
So the short answer is...
We're going to... Whoa.
But no, the first, just the short answer is, did we see it going this direction? No.
Not exactly.
Not exactly.
But before we answer, I want you to tell what you thought. Let's take me out of the equation. I never existed. Okay? You're just some little podunk 90s country loving girl, okay, who loves Lone Star and every Dixie Chicks song ever written.
If you ever need somebody to be able to name a country song or every lyric
before 2000,
really, no, probably like 2000.
You're good through 2005.
2005, 6-ish. I got you covered.
Yeah.
I got him.
Like, I didn't exist. Our paths didn't cross. What was your trajectory? What were you thinking you were going to go towards?
I think I always thought I'd be a teacher, an elementary teacher.
In particular reason?
I've always enjoyed being around children. Always enjoyed the education process. There's a lot of teachers in my family.
There it is. You're getting warmer.
So that's really probably why I thought I was going to be a teacher.
Mm-hmm. Where did you think you'd live? Would you be a city mouse? Would you be a country mouse? Did you think you'd go far?
I did not think I would probably live in this area.
Mm-hmm.
But not terribly far. Not 12 hours away, but probably 5 or 6 hours away. I don't have an area I was going to live in, but I didn't think I'd live in this town.
Mm-hmm.
So
What were your thoughts about family at the time?
I don't know. There was a time in my life I didn't know I'd ever have kids. I was really didn't think I'd have kids because I thought my kids would be my students. I wasn't anti-kids, but then
It's very Marie Von Trapp of you.
Maria.
1,000 apologies to the Von
right.
Trapp family.
Keep her name.
Keep her name out your damn mouth.
So I really thought I would just have like my students. For a long time, I wanted to drive an El Camino
Yeah.
and have a Saint Bernard that would just ride in the back of it.
Oh, this is getting better and better. I knew you were a El Camino.
And there's one that just sits like a mile down the road, and I'm still like, I could drive that.
Yeah, you and one of our kids could
One
ride
of our
that.
kids. I put lawn chairs in the back.
You could put the
for them.
goats in the back.
And I honestly was like, there's my pickup bed.
Oh my gosh.
I did. It's like down the road, and I just keep watching them with like the for sale sign on it. I should just knock on the door and ask.
So, you thought you might go into teaching.
Right. And either drive an El Camino or a VW van. Those are my two vehicles of choice. So, that's me.
That's it? That's your whole life? You didn't think about like anything else? Hey, Charlie's
See?
Best has
There
a
we
secret
go.
idea for him.
No. But I can. Okay, go ahead. You say yours.
Well,
Because then I want to get into where our paths started and
Okay.
how they transitioned. So I don't want to spend too much time.
all
on
right. I'll
I
tell
don't want
you.
to spend too much time on this hypothetical nonsense.
But don't be frightened. Nonsense. No, I think it's, first off, I think it's really healthy to acknowledge that we both had separate life paths before we came together.
Right. What's getting hard, though, and I mean this as a kind thing, is we now have been part of each other's lives for more than we haven't been. So
That's
it's
true.
hard to think about a life, like the hypothetical of you not being part of my life, because I'm like, oh, great. So when I was a grade school child, like,
Weird.
so think like that.
Okay, I'll buy that. My story is not as happy, I don't feel like.
Good Lord.
Because I tried to pursue what I thought I was supposed to do. I really thought that I was going to be like an ordained minister. Okay? I thought I had some sort of calling on my life. I thought I had some sort of... And I grew up in a United Methodist church. And during the beginning, the middle of us, the start of us, I was going down this path toward figuring out what it would take to be a minister. I thought that's what I was going to be doing my whole life. Paid ministry. People were going to pay me to teach them things. People were going to pay me to get in front of them and inspire them through scripture and through hilarious life stories. And eventually I would be going on these conferences and they'd be getting one of those little skinny microphones and like people would applaud and I'd have books that come out and like I had a whole what's the word I want to say? There was a group of ministers, there was a group of, I guess you might call them idols at the time.
No, it's true. Like this is the path of what you do. You do this and then this
Yeah.
and this.
Yeah.
It
I was
sort of
molding
made out for you.
myself to go after that. I was going to, maybe go to seminary and then start a small group and then we're going to explode and we're going to get bigger. Maybe I start in youth ministry and then. And I really thought this path went on well until after we were married.
It's true.
I really thought that I was going to be ordained, and I started off down the Methodist track, and they didn't want me. Bottom line is, they're like, "Nah, we're good. Nah, mate," as Amelia would say. To get ordained as a Methodist minister, it was like impossible for me. Like they didn't know what to do with me. I didn't really want to go to seminary right away. And they're like, well, you're too young. They had a path to become a local licensed minister. I was like, oh, let me do that. No, you're too young. You need to go to seminary and get things and learn some stuff. I was like, well, I'm pretty well versed in this. You could test me. No, we want you to do this.
Well, because like with a lot of organized religion, and specifically like different denominations, they do have a very specific path of like, you check this box and this box and this box. So if you don't have those boxes checked, they don't know what to do with you. Like that's just very common. Like,
and I fought them at every step of the path. Like,
what?
When I had a different point of view, or I had a thought, or why are we doing this way, I would try to bring it up and quasi-hash it out just a little bit. And that did not get met great. And then, that path shut for full-time ministry, going to be an elder, if you know anything about that, in that Methodist church. I mean, I was a youth group leader. I did speaking. I was summer camp counselor for 2 years for the Methodist, and I really thought that's where I was going. And they slammed the door hard on me, and it hurt real bad. And so I was like, okay, I'll be open to an idea of going to a different denomination or something like that. And I got in touch. I got involved in a campus ministry called BCM, Baptist Collegiate Ministry at ISU, with Roger and Rose Bear, and that went really great. And I had just a lot of dumb experiences along the way that just kept slamming doors. There was a church in Rockville that said they were hiring a youth and a music minister, and I play guitar and I sing, and I could lead music, and I'd already been working with youth. And so I went up there, and the guy, I was introduced to the minister, and the minister's like, yeah, well, how about you hang around a while, like a few weeks, and we'll try out, we'll see what's going on. And I was broke. Like, I didn't have like any money, and I was driving like 30 minutes to this church 2 or 3 times a week, just setting up music, and then Sunday I played music and trying to do the youth group and trying to get the Wednesday night thing started. And about like 9 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks into this, I'm kind of like, hey, so are we gonna, maybe have a job offer or anything? Or is my little internship done? And he said, oh, well, we didn't really have a job. We just wanted to put an advertisement out there just to see what kind of talent we could draw. And we're not really prepared to make this any kind of a paid position. And that was a Saturday, he told me that. And I never went back. I didn't go back. I was supposed to play music Sunday morning. And I got calls from the, piano player and stuff like, are you dead in the road somewhere? Where are you? And I just never went back. I was so hurt by that. I was like, and they'd taken advantage of me, and my little bit of talents and a little bit of faith I put in people. And, that really hurt. I still like, okay, maybe we can still do it. And then when I got married, right beforehand, we started a youth group between two. It was a really unique circumstance. On ISU's campus, there was a Methodist church and there was a Presbyterian church. There was actually an Episcopalian church in the middle of the two. But they were like, boom, 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 3 churches in a row. And they wanted to start a youth program, but none of them had a big enough group or money on their own. I think they had the money, but not enough involvement on their own. So the Methodists and the Presbyterians paired up. And
it was a really great
It was
experience.
so much fun.
So much fun. It's like we're still connected with some of those families.
Yes.
It was a really positive experience.
We did that for a year. It was right before we got married. I got hired on to be the leader. Of course, I was like, well, you may be calling me the leader, but Elizabeth and I are kind of a joint combo. And it was part-time, and I was working at Gibault, I think, at the same time. Yeah. Or if that was before Gibault. And it didn't end on a bad note.
We went to a full-time job. It
was just, hey, you're not meant to be in either type of these churches in ministry. And that hurt real bad. And so the question started originally like, where did you see yourself in full-time ministry, full-time paid ministry? I thought I would have a, what do you call those houses? Parsonage. Oh. I'd be living in a parsonage, begin a car allotment, going to conferences. That's what I thought my thing was. And then I got a job working at Gibault Children's Services. If you don't know what Gibault is, it's a residential facility for young people, primarily with like mental health needs. Sometimes they're there, but it's not juvie. I worked in the autism unit. They had other units, but I worked in the autism unit. And I started finding out that I could fulfill the desire to serve people in the private workplace. And that was a big new revelation to me. I thought youth ministry was my name's on a sign and I have Wednesday night and Sunday morning and Sunday evening and I tell these Bible stories and people look up to me, blah, blah, blah. I thought that's what ministry was, and I really thought that's the direction I was going to go before I got down this road. And when at Gibraltar, I started to figure out that I can actually still do like 99.5% of the things I could do in youth ministry, still get a full-time income, but even better yet, reach a group of people and love on them, not preach at them, but love on them in an appropriate way, of course, and on Bob Ditter way, in a way that maybe they hadn't had before. These were kids from broken homes. These were kids with
or kids that just
abuse.
Never had someone meet them where they're at.
Yeah.
And like, because that could be a difficult group to reach, and they may not fit in this group or the other group, but to meet them in their own space. And
that really started to satisfy what I thought that I wanted to be. Then I moved over to community mental health, which is what Hamilton Center was, and I worked with elementary age students on anger issues and social issues, and I continued my career in community mental health, and what I realized was this is basically like Medicaid funded youth ministry.
It's true.
I didn't have to go before a council or a board. I just had to, in my private personal life, show an example of, the fruit of the Spirit and show that to people who were in need. And then that got me over to teaching, and it was even better pay and summers off, and I don't view myself as like some sort of posh educator who's, high and mighty, but I'm just like, I feel like I'm in youth paid ministry, and I can be a good impact and good influence on young people, and don't have to be preachy at them, but I can also help them make connections with those groups and those local youth ministers and stuff. And that's kind of how I see my life now. Is I thought it was going to be one way. I had my vision for what ministry was in my youth, and this was, I'm talking I was probably like 10 years old when I thought I was going to become a pastor. Like before my brother died and all that stuff, I was like, okay, I'm going to be a minister. And so like I started reading books and reading Bibles and trying to join clubs. My whole high school career was all about Youth for Christ and Bible Club and Chrysalis and things of that nature. And I had a vision of what it was supposed to be, and the darndest thing, somebody had a much bigger vision where he used what he gave me talents for and it put me just in the right place. And this was all before I even knew about the blessing of you and the children and the farm and everything else. So like I did have a thought at one point in time that I wanted to rehab an old farmhouse. That was kind of on my to-do list.
Right.
My friend Cole grew up in a house like that. I always thought his house was so cool. And if we just like ripped out each wall and rebuild it, like how much fun that would actually be.
Right.
But my life has turned out a lot different than what my 10-year-old self thought, but obviously so much better.
Yes.
And then we met each other. And when we met each other, your view of what you thought was going to happen, and my view of what I thought was going to happen, did they disappear? Did they meld? Did they get reborn?
They get reborn. So I went to college to be a K-6 educator, focusing on special needs children. But before I graduated college, I already had a job offer. And I graduated college during like the teacher recession.
Oh, yeah.
There were no jobs.
They were begging you to go to Florida.
Like if you want to get a teacher job, you had to like go somewhere far. Like you had to go somewhere that nobody wanted to go. And I student taught in 2 schools that told me like if we had positions, like you would be hired. I did long-term sub positions there. Like my teacher that I taught with, like her mother was very ill, and I covered the class for like half the semester. Did all the right things. So I wasn't for sure what I was going to do. I thought I'd just be subbing really full time until something opened up. But I was actually offered a job at the college I went to, and then had an offer for grad school. So I did that, and I transitioned then from a K-6 mindset to working with college students. I was in campus life, I was in student activities, I oversaw international students, and then at the same time I went to grad school and worked with the career focus of being in higher education really for the rest of my time. I did the campus life stuff for, 4 years, and it was great. Like it was really great. My colleague and boss and I, there was like a team of us, and we were just like
a dream team.
The dream team, really.
So much fun.
We had so much fun together, and then after a few years into it, another job at the college opened up, and I wasn't even considering the job because it was like going from like an associate director to a director, and it was transitioning from like the staff side of a college where I worked in residential life to the faculty side, and I was then going to be in the education side, and I wasn't even going to consider it. And my boss Jeff was like, I don't want you to get this job because I don't want to like lose this like team, but I would be doing you a disservice if I didn't tell you needed to apply for this job. And I did, and I got it. So then I oversaw the Learning Resource Center, and what I did there is I helped students with special needs. I organized the tutoring program. Those at-risk college students were my students. Those who needed help with success were all the things. And really, I really expected to retire from that school. I was sort of being groomed is such a weird word, but like I was being focused to like to be
could maybe
like
take up a
you would
vice president,
right, a dean of students, the vice. I was doing all the right things. I went there, so I had a good rapport with a lot of the faculty and staff. I had worked in the staff and the faculty, and sometimes making that transition from staff to faculty, it's like very separate in a college. Like the faculty are this and the staff are this, and I was able to sort of like bridge the gap between the two parties. You
were career-minded.
I was very career-minded.
You took great pride. You know, a woman doing this, and
yes,
at your alma mater.
Yes.
And
I wore makeup and did my hair every day.
Every day.
I wore shoes that clicked as I walked. I did all the things.
Power.
I did all the things.
Yeah,
and really,
you played ball politically. Like
I went to golf I did golf outings.
Golf scrambles.
I did all the things. And really, even when we were decided to have a family and I got with Henry, I was like, it's not going to change anything.
Right.
Like, I'm still going to do these things to continue my career. And something changed in me. I like held that baby, and I remember going back to work at 6 weeks, which is a whole soapbox for me, because I can't sell a baby goat before 8 weeks because it can't be with his mother. But
because of parental leave or lack thereof,
yes, I had to go back.
And expose your bosom in closets and whatnot to try to produce milk to keep our child alive. Yeah,
barely fitting into clothing, and I
don't know about the clothing, but the unstable part. There was a moment.
I remember though, a student. See now, because all of my students didn't have obviously that many children or anything then. And I remember a student being like, well, you had 6 weeks off. Like, and I'm like, I remember thinking, like, I cannot wait for you to, really. Like, one day have a child and whatever. But I went back and it wasn't the same. It was not the same. I worked hard still. I love my job, but it was hard. I was gone every day from, we'd leave here at the latest 7 a.m. I get back 6:30 p.m., 7 p.m.
And you had a lot of late night calls.
Evenings or weekends. But I loved my students there. I really genuinely loved my students there. I mean, so much so I'm still kind of so many of them, and they're still part of my life. But I was able to make my contract get to where I had 2 months off in the summer. And I thought that would suffice whatever I was missing. But I missed a lot. And then we had Elliot, and I was still there. But I missed first steps. I missed crawling. I missed first steps. I missed a lot of that with those 2 boys. And I was really like, I don't know what to do. But I remember being like, this is what I'm supposed to do. Like, this is what I'm supposed to do. So I went to college. I went to grad school for. I went and,
This was the plan.
This was my plan of what I needed to do. And I think the first step that changed us was we moved back to Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
We moved close to my grandparents. That was the first thing we did. And then it was like, I remember being full-time was really hard. And I remember trying to like think of a way, how can I make this not work?
Mm-hmm.
Or how can I
make
this
this work not going on all the time.
It just wasn't happening. And then it was like that, coming back from summer that last year I was there and being like, I was just going through the motions of it. And I was like, I don't know. And then you found the job posting at my job.
I was going to apply for it.
You were going to apply for it because you were in community mental health still. And I was this, and you started to fill it out. And then you said to me like, actually, I think this is more for you. So I filled it out. So it was adult education. It was a part-time position. It was literally 7 minutes on the road because we were driving like 40 minutes one way to get to our jobs. And I applied for it and got the job, obviously, so here I am. And it's part-time. I'm still having adults. So it's funny because I really thought I would be K-6. And then I've never worked in a public school. I've never worked in a public school teaching K-6. But what's funny is recently, I mean, like 2 years ago, I ran into one of my education professors. And I was like, whenever I run into my education professor, I'm always sort of nervous, like to tell them, like, oh, actually, I'm homeschooling my children now. Like, all those things you taught me. I'm like,
yeah, about that.
And I told her, and she was like, I could have told you then. Like, I could have told you then, that's what you'd end up doing.
So funny.
And I was like, oh, okay. Because I really was just like, oh, I'm so embarrassed. I'm not embarrassed, because I'm really proud of what we do, but like, I don't want her to be like, what? So yeah, professionally, that's where I am. I'm doing that. And having the part-time, I'm able to be home a lot more, and it sort of sparked the home life for us. So for you, so I started working for the school corporation in, I think, February of 2016. And huge financial...
You took a 50% cut.
More than I was like 65%.
Yeah, you were like 65%
pay
cut. I was
cut.
closer to 50.
And then you were still giving mental health. So it went from me being the breadwinner to you being the breadwinner.
I was a schlep, but...
I know, I'm saying though, like, but...
Which didn't matter, by the way. We
never
kept any score. No, but we were making like 100, 110 or 20, something like that.
And so then
no kids.
I was, so I did a big pay cut. It was working well. We were getting it. And then that next September of 2016, you were like, I need something different. Like, I can't do this anymore. And we had a Labor Day party, and our friend was like, you should be a teacher. That was Labor Day. That next week, you walked into a school, put in your application. September 21st, you were teaching. You were in the classroom teaching.
I had to Google what a lesson plan was.
It was literally that switch.
Still don't quite have it figured out, but yeah, mine,
But again, then that was a big jump for you to go from working 12 months a year, long days, weekends, evening.
On call. Not on call, but
event
what's
on
the
call.
phrase they use? Certified staff?
I don't know.
There's a level exempt staff that's like
so like salary.
That's your salary. And so basically you're their slave and you have to do anything that they tell you to do, and they like to dangle that over my head.
Right.
On my career track, yes, all those things I said earlier are totally true and what I was in my heart trying to do. But when I was at Hamilton Center, I definitely was trying to do the career thing. I was reading all the vision and mission and values books. I was listening to podcasts to give me that direction. I had thought I saw an opening as well to like a vice president's level of stuff, but I was so mentally unhealthy at a community mental health center. It was not even funny. Like I had horrible thoughts and was depressed all the time, and that was just a horrible place to work. Probably might still be, but I had to get out of there. And doors opened for me to use my gifts of, I don't know what to call this. What do you call this? What do you call what I do? My gifts.
Comedic.
My
Relief?
comedic relief. I don't know. Try to bring some
Pun
joy.
intended.
I don't know exactly. Like, I don't even know sometimes. Like, people ask me, like, how are you a teacher? Like, I don't know. I tell jokes and funny stories and try to get the kids to lighten up a little bit. And
a lot of homeschool families we know, their children, when they get to high school, they will go to high school. And I had 2 different families last week tell me that their children, because it's nerve-wracking, you go from homeschooling, very safe, you know what to expect every day, all those things. And then to go to a public high school, it's a lot different. But all their kids who've gone through high school said that they always knew that Mr. Coley's classroom was a safe place. If they felt overwhelmed, if they felt they didn't know where to go, they didn't know what class to do, that you were their safe place to go. And I was like, wow, I didn't even think about that. Like,
it's nice.
I didn't even think about that being.
No, I did terrible in school. I, at one point in time, had academically failed out of college. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I was not prepared mentally, anything. And then I discovered some things about me, like how I actually learn. And then, when I got a chance to be in the classroom, being the one making the rules, I decided to set it all up to try to succeed for people who were just like me. And I don't think anybody in the office cares. They don't care if I give you 100 assignments on the grade book or if I give you 8 assignments on the grade book. So I just try to back things off and make things worth points of, are you learning something in this classroom? And I work more on that model.
So how did we?
We already got to the farm.
I know, that's why I'm transitioning this.
Thank you.
So how did we get to where we are today? So that's how we got from our sort of career ladder, business focused life. So we moved back to Brazil, to the country. We, at that point,
lived one door down from your grandmother.
One door down.
Had an acre and a quarter.
And I think one of my first, I can think about my first dabbling. I was thinking about this today. My first dabbling was the first year we were married, so we're not even with kids or anything. And we had pumpkins for Halloween, and I cut the pumpkin apart, and I made pumpkin puree. Okay. And I was like, whoa. And I remember someone saying, that's ridiculous. You just go buy it. What a waste. And then I did. I was like, wow, this is puree. And then moving forward, I remember being excited when I got a bread machine at an auction. We did. And I was making
a
bread.
Quarter,
And it wasn't anything fancy, but I was like, I made this bread. And then with all of our babies making their own baby food. And that was sort of the start of being, what would you consider that,
not crunchy, but self-producing.
Right,
I don't want to say sufficient. I would never be sufficient, but self-producing.
And then the big shift was because Henry went to public school for kindergarten and part of first grade. Elliot was set to go to kindergarten, and then 5 years ago this week.
Oh my gosh.
Today.
Oh my gosh.
Today, 5 years ago today, the world shut down with COVID.
And Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson were stuck in Australia, the first people we knew in the world.
They stopped the NBA game.
Yeah, we were watching. We never watched NBA. And that night they're attention folks, we're going to shut this down.
Right.
Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson are stuck in Australia. And they've got COVID.
Not Woody.
Woody.
And at that point, we were talking about maybe getting some chickens.
Yeah, we had plans for a little garden.
And we had a garden before that, too. Mostly, tomatoes, pumpkins. Just, those, little, container gardens or just a little bit. Sunflowers, nothing major.
And then COVID hit.
And everybody wanted to do that stuff. And things were crazy. Prices were high. Everything was high.
Everybody freaked out.
The groceries were a madhouse. It was just, you all experienced it. I'm not telling you anything you don't know.
Yeah, you might remember this.
You might remember this. Or maybe you've repressed it. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's probably the better option is repress it. And so...
I just didn't like the feeling that the world was happening to us.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what the heck I was going to do. Like, did I deep down have fears that we weren't going to be able to get food and my family's going to starve? No. But when I couldn't get the things that I wanted or whatnot, and they were like kind of like limiting on things, I went real fast to like, oh, this is not normal. And this is not good. It's also not normal that like I can't do any of this stuff. That's what I really tapped into was like, we're just 2 generations from my grandparents raising and eating everything that they owned.
And we've lost that, and that skill is gone.
And in the name of progress, we just kind of set all that to the side. Like, yeah, that's nice. We'll always have Kroger.
Right. So soon after that, we bought some chickens. And we started, that was our first thing.
Yeah.
Our first, like, self-sufficient thing
Yeah.
was, I don't think I've bought eggs since then. So for half a decade, I've not bought eggs.
Do you remember, I don't know, one of those first days of COVID, it was one of the first days we could get outside. There's a picture of me and the kids outside in our boots. We would literally just walk around our acre and a half with jeans and boots and be like, hey, what guys, what do you think we could put over here? You think we could put a pig over here? You think we could put We never had, they don't know anything about any of this. No. But it was such a healthy of like brainstorming of like talking it out, not only like talking it out with each other, but getting the kids to come on board and not be like, y'all are crazy, but like to give them some buy-in and give them some interest of like, oh yeah, this wouldn't be so bad. And what, 5 short years later, Lottie Freakadah, look at us.
Why did we get goats? So I really thought we'd have cattle because I was raised around cattle. I know cattle.
At this property, they had, what were they called?
Shorthorns?
Cattle.
Yes.
And they were a heritage breed, ironically.
Yeah, no. And I really thought we'd go cattle just because I know cattle.
Mm-hmm.
But then Henry, our oldest, was getting into 4-H, and I was like, I don't want him holding on to a 2,000-pound cow. Like, I just don't feel comfortable with that. And so we went to the county fair, and we sort of just walked each barn. We knew we'd have the chickens. We already had the chickens. We just walked each barn. And I remember just running into a few people, and they're like, you should get some goats. And I was like, aren't goats... I like all the reasons. Don't goats, like, aren't they
eat
loud?
Everything and get on top of the cars.
Won't they get on the fence?
Won't they get on the fence?
And then they're like, no.
No, actually, goats are awesome.
And so we went to a couple people's houses, saw their goats, and I was like, we're going to get a few goats. So we did that. We really thought we would raise them for meat, though.
Mm-hmm.
So that was our next sort of step in
self-producing. Not sufficiency.
Self-producing was we're going to get some meat goats, raise them for meat, and that will be what we butcher, all the things. And we got a few goats for that purpose. And then we saw their sweet faces, and I was like,
I can't eat you.
We can't eat these. We would eat our cows and eat our pigs, but it was different. These were like little dogs. Like they're like,
these are different. So much more personality.
So we very quickly transitioned from meat goats to dairy goats.
Yes.
Because then they are with us. We're raising them for a bigger purpose. Yeah. They can live with us for a long time. So we did that.
And then come to find out, your bubble guts do better with goat milk.
Why did you call me out like that?
Well, just saying, like, you can't handle thinking about a Dairy Queen ice cream shake, but...
Oh, I think about it.
You could go... Never mind. You can have goat milk straight from you-know-what. I'm just saying, like, it's much easier on your tummy.
It is. So, but then we were like, okay, well then we'll raise some pigs, and we'll do that. And because pigs we aren't lovey-dovey with, so we can do that. And same with the meat birds and the turkeys. Like
turkeys within there, thing. That's big. Who knows? Now we've got some ideas of where we're going now, and this is kind of where the full circle of like, where did you think you were going? We each had our own path. We each had our own visions. We each had our own giftings. Those got changed in shape over time, and then we met each other, and we started dreaming up our own as a unit path, and refining it, and being open to it being refined and refined. I think that's part of it is when you close your mind to the possibility of any kind of change, that can be really, really, like, detrimental. Like, Elizabeth does a good job of pulling me along on all these journeys. Like, there might be a new journey starting this Friday that is not at the top of my, like, oh, hallelujah list. But I know in a month from now I'm going to be like, hallelujah. You know what I mean? And sometimes I pull her along with some of my side journeys and quests, and she smiles and nods and goes with it. And that's what we're doing right now. Like doing YouTube and podcast stuff
not my thing.
is not her thing. And
I get so anxious, like, being on the camera. And
yeah. It's just another thing. Like,
or like, what if, I just can't do it. And I always I preferred the podcast where you can't see us.
Yeah.
Because then I could, like, give signals to him, like, and I can't. I'm live. And I'm not in my pajamas.
Yes. Now you are in your Sunday best.
My day clothes.
But, like, with this, like, we've got a little bit of vision. Why do we do, this is my last little sidebar, I promise, and we'll wrap this up. Why do we do the videos? I've been wrestling with this week. Like, why do you post on social media so much? Why do I post on videos? We bought this camera. We're making new videos. We're doing this podcast. I worry a lot that people think it's because my ego needs stroked and my head gets big. And that's not the only reason. Like, I'm sure it's a little bit of it deep down. But realistically, the reason that Elizabeth posts a daily picture of our kids is the same reason I want to do this. It's bringing people along on a journey that they might not get to do on their own, or they're not with us, but they can still be with us on the same journey. Right. So when we started doing a daily picture of Henry, your great-grandmother lived out in Arizona, your great-uncle lived in Arizona, you have family in New York, you got relations in Australia and Canada.
And they wanted to know, they wanted to still feel like they were part of our life.
And we would post a little picture of Henry Boy every day, and people were like, oh my gosh, I just can't go to sleep until I see the picture of Henry every day. And I loved that our little gift, our bundle, our gift was a gift to others, bringing them just a little bit of joy. And then Elliot came along, and then Benjamin. And like, it's a tradition that we've kept up. And now that we have this content producing farm, like, honest to God, we're doing something cool every day. Like, every other day, every other week was a season of something. And we could just turn the cameras off and just go enjoy it. But I really like that people have kind of verbalized to us, hey, we really like seeing what you're doing, kind of going along on the ride with you. And that kind of is my motivation of why are we making more videos? Why are we doing a podcast? Why are we investing in a little better camera and whatnot? It's kind of building its own little community. And it's not that we're the experts on things. You're just coming along for the ride. You don't have 5 acres in a barn and 5 kids, but you're interested in those things, or you're at least interested in us, and you're investing in us just as we are in our kids. And so it's almost like producing a show just because we know people like enjoy it and want to go along with it. So that's just something I really struggle with internally, is killing that old part of my mind. We talked about what I think I was going to be, a speaker and kind of all this stuff. I really fight against that. And tonight I feel like I've already done too much talking, but like, it's not that I have answers or that I have the way or anything like that what I say is necessarily that important. But I like the community that it's kind of building, and I like the storytelling. And by the way, don't tell the kids, but this is like good for them to figure out to do too. Like, if I give them a camera and say, go figure out how to tell a story, that's like a little bit of education. And like, they're going to go and like not want to sound like an idiot. So they're going to improve their public speaking, and they're going to learn how to hold a camera, and then I'm going to get on the computer and show them how to cut it up. And that's, commercial making and everything else. So this is a win-win for all of us. Thanks for coming along for the ride. We enjoy doing this. Next week's spring break, I imagine we'll probably still do a Wednesday nighter. Maybe. I would love to do one outside pretty soon, on a campfire or something. So we've got lots of cool things going on next week. Give us feedback as much as you can on the videos, if you want what you want to see or what you're interested in, and we will try to keep making that happen. Doing all right?
Yeah.
All right. I was trying to think of how. I have a way I like to end this. I gotta figure out how. Okay, well, that's all for today. We'll see you next time. how do you shut off this?